Yo, what's going on, everyone? It's Chase. So today we will go over Bitcoin, we'll go over ETH. We'll start on the high time frame charts and work our way down, talk about some potential trades, where I'm seeing support and resistance, the usual stuff. We'll have a chat about the NFT craze and, sort of all the things that I think are going on there. So let's get into it. Before we do so, big shout out to Prime XBT as always for sponsoring these videos. My links will be at the bottom. Give them a try, especially with all this craziness of exchanges limiting withdrawals and all this crazy stuff. I mean, I never have an issue with Prime, so check them out. Alright, let's give it a go. So first thing we want to do is honestly just, we'll mark out some basic levels. Even from the weekly, we can see when we put in a range low and a range high. Just briefly, I'll show you this trade before I lose it on the copy paste. So this was a trade I had talked about on Twitter. We can see where it was. Basically, zero drawdown, right? If you entered here, maybe this wick was the tiniest bit of drawdown, but really not. Okay. Now, why did I take this? Just right off the top, just to help people. We had a run of this, right? Okay. So on the daily, you had your range low and your range high, but this was, sort of an anomaly. Like, I know a lot of people had it marked out like this. I think I even had it marked out like this at a point. But when I saw it break through here, and then I saw it run this high, right? Let's go to the low time frame. I'll show you. I saw it run this high very slightly. Or it basically tagged it like to the pip, right? And then we rejected. It might have ran it on some other exchanges. But point being, we tagged this resistance basically perfectly, right? And when I saw this second move, basically a run of the run, or a run on resistance, whatever you want to say, and also clearing out all these stops if this didn't. Again, not sure how this went exchange to exchange, but I think I saw somewhere else where this wicked a little bit and then this went even further. And that was pretty much my sign, because if you move all the way out, you know that there's going to be liquidity above these highs. You tap it once, you tap it again. On that second tap is typically where you're starting to feel good about things, and then you can do your typical things like pull out a RSI and look for divergence. You had your first one here, you had your second one here, and that's usually the type of thing I would look for too. And you also, obviously RSI was spiking really high, close to 85. Boom, down, up. Obvious divergence there, taps resistance, runs the high, comes back down, closes below, and at that point is when I say, hey, look, this is probably a good point to get in, right? Because you ran this, you drop below, consolidating, looks like it's going to break down, does break down. If you targeted just any obvious target, you got about 2 risk reward out of it. You would have put your stop right near this high, about 2 risk reward. I got around 2, so wherever it was, wherever I closed, somewhere around here. So 2 risk reward right there. Just a simple trade, just to give you guys an example of a setup that I would take. I guess if you round it out, you had confluence of resistance level, running the high, bearish divergence, closing below, and you're getting a 2 to a 3 risk reward by putting your stop at this invalidation level, where I sort of said on the tweet, if you close above 42K with strength, then most likely if this area was flipping, if this area was flipping to support, right, you're probably invalidated, and so that's a good place for your stop loss. And that was a simple 2 risk reward trade. Okay, let's go delete everything now, and we'll just zoom back out, go over some other stuff. So yeah, we'll just use the daily. So you had your low, you had your high. You sweep the high. I mean, in a perfect world, if I knew that the market was gonna, that's typically how I mark ranges, right? I just, wait for the capulation event, mark the low, mark the high. But I guess, because I saw the rejection here, I was like, maybe this is just a like an anomaly. But hey, this was what I used to do, and I should have stuck with what I've sort of developed and learned into. And you know, that's something I think that happens probably with most traders that are around, you know, 5 years or under. I'm sure if you're 10-year, you're probably like very very confident in everything that you do, and sort of stick to what you've always done. But every now and then still, I can still find myself being slightly shaky compared to what, you know, someone else I respect may be doing, etc., etc. And I definitely saw some other people marking this area, and at a point I marked that area too, because you were seeing respect here as well, right? And you thought, okay, well that could be the sweep right there, right? Well, then obviously you probably would have got stopped out. You could have grabbed probably I don't know, it looks like 1 risk reward or 1.5, but obviously when it powered through, you would have got stopped out. And then when I saw it sweep this, I was like, okay, well, that makes sense. All right, so enough of that. Where are some obvious levels where I want to buy, or some obvious levels where I want to sell? Let's go over that. So I think this level, if we were to see downside, okay, I think this level's pretty obvious. I'll tell you why. It's specifically this area right here. Boom, right there. Okay, so you had this consolidation on BTC, right? Sort of a bit of a, you know, a bit of a pennant type situation here, whatever you want to call it. It breaks down, and as it breaks down and it comes back up, this is the area of consolidation, right? This is the area of consolidation right here before this further breakdown. So I think this is probably a good buying area. Let's mark this out in green, and I'll show you some more confluence on it. If we take our risk reward tool here, and we can see that our 618 retracement lines up basically right on it. Okay, so right on this previous resistance right here. If it comes down, hopefully this area flips to support. I'll be looking to buy this green box. Below the green box, things definitely start to get a little weird. Probably don't want to see price go below here. I'd probably have my stop somewhere down here-ish. I think we can see, you know, support, 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 a little bit of a deviation here, support, 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 and then it flips to resistance here, and we can see all these taps of resistance, right? Resistance, resistance. So I think that's an obvious level, and then we power off the level. So most likely stop right in here somewhere, buying this green box. And then as far as target goes, we have to see how this breaks down, but could be once again targeting the top of the range. There could be consolidation in here that we target maybe. So excuse me, if this consolidates heavily and then it breaks down, then obviously we know where we're going to be targeting. We're going to be targeting this previous consolidation right here, okay? And that would be our target 1, you know, target 2. And if you really want to hold a moon bag, let's start talking about potential for higher prices, then we're looking right around here, right? But we'll talk about that now. Okay, so if we're looking for upside, right, let's say that 42.5 flips to support and we're consolidating. Okay, so we come back up, we're consolidating above the high. Obviously, it's typically never going to be this clean. You might just get like a 1-tap retest or something, and it starts to go. Okay, so 2 targets I would say here. My first target for a long looks to be right around here. We can see some confluence on this. Let's delete this. So we have support here. We could see it support this wick right here, right? Okay, and then we see support here, and then we see it flip to resistance right here. If we go to a lower time frame, we'll probably see some type of a block there. Yep. So we can see top of the 12-hour block here, and then we'll also mark out another target to the upside, which, let's go back on the daily, I would most likely say this area right here, and then we'd mark this out in red as resistance, something like this. Okay, so breakout target 1 would be 45.8-ish. Breakout target 2 would be around 49 to 50K, somewhere right around this red box, 48.9K right in here. Okay, so that's basically what I'm looking for Bitcoin in terms of more confident swing moves. You're long from this area, confluence with the 618 retracement. potential long from this area. As far as shorts in here go, I haven't really plotted anything out yet. If I do, I'll post a CT. But as I said, like posting shorts to crypto Twitter lately is like, yeah, I said it in my tweet basically that I was asking to be like stoned to death, especially with the way the sentiment is right now. So, but typically if you hear me talking about like optimal risk reward and stuff like that, that's when I take a trade, right? Because that's what really trading is all about, is, you know, just having your risk in check and having optimal risk reward. And if you know me, you know I'm typically aiming for between 2 and 4 risk reward, and just staying within my risk profile to where I'm comfortable. Okay, so no reason to close early, you know, let my trades invalidate or go to target for the most part, unless, you know, local PA changes and something really changes. But for the most part, that's it, you know. Just have your risk in check and look for 2 to 3 risk reward and take trades, okay? Let's move into ETH. So ETH had like this huge weekly order block. I was waiting to buy at the bottom of the weekly order block. That's where I really wanted to buy, like 1400-ish. Never got the opportunity yet. Hey, that's how it goes sometimes. On the weekly, we could see resistance at 3334, okay, and now let's just go down to lower time frame and we'll mark out some other stuff. All right, so we could see basically perfect how that weekly level turned into a daily level right there, okay, right into the daily order block. This is an obvious area for shorting in my opinion. If we were to reclaim red box here, right, probably quite bullish, I would say. I'd definitely be looking like long only at that point. If we somehow get above here, and I've talked about this many times, I believe that if we manage to get here, right, which I don't think is fully likely, right, we might do what Bitcoin did. So we could see how Bitcoin breakdown forms the range, runs the high. Probably going to try that on ETH too. I wouldn't be surprised if we you know, squeeze above 3K real quick. I don't know when the whole EIP 1559 thing or whatever is going on, but you know, if a lot of this NFT and EIP thing all coordinate together and we get a strong push into quote unquote like news or launch day or whatever, and we sneak above 3K, that's probably going to be a short for me. If you want to wait for more confirmation, you could just wait for it to reclaim this previous range, just like you could have waited for it to reclaim the previous range right in here. And you usually have an opportunity on a lower time frame to get in at some point, right? Okay, so it swept it, it broke down. The difference between your entry price would only be about, you know, $400 or so, or 1.46%. So not that big of a deal. If you truly want the most optimal risk reward, then you're already you're just blind shorting above the swing point, right? So you'd be blind shorting above this level, and you just keep, you know, you keep any type of stop on it that seems reasonable. But yeah, that's really at your own discretion. Because that's a tough one to call. I mean, and you can also do half and half, right? So you could do half blind, half on the reclaim. Okay, half here, half here. Those are potential opportunities if ETH acts as BTC does. Okay, and of course that's always a big if, but you know, things do often repeat themselves. And if I'm seeing this, I'm sure other market participants are probably seeing this as well, and it could be a potential opportunity. Now, somehow just teleport into here, then I believe this is a short, because this is fresh resistance, fresh untested resistance. I've talked about this many times. Untested resistance is typically a sell. Untested demand is typically a buy. Okay, quite simple. Let's think. As far as bidding on ETH, I don't know. I've been trading more BTC recently. I feel like it's been a bit cleaner. I don't know. Maybe I'm just. I might just be, for a lack of a better word, just not interested in ETH because I feel like it's moving more off fundamentals than price action, so to say. But to be honest, I mean, if you look at the ETH chart, it's perfectly fine as well, right? You had a swing level. You could have shorted the swing level. When it reclaimed, you could have closed. And then you have a close above the swing level here. That was a long towards this next swing, right? So there was trades here for sure. And it, no different here. If this continues, right? If this continues and you had swing, you did SFP, right? And you reclaimed, okay? You had swing, you have SFP, you reclaim, okay? So where's the next swing high? Either here or here. So you'd be, if you find a way to get a long in here, you could target this high, you could target this high, okay? And then once again, I would say since we are seeing respect to these swing highs, most likely I think we see respect to this swing high. I probably do the half and half idea that I was talking about, okay? So that covers ETH and BTC. All right, so let's talk about the NFT craze and what's current sentiment in general, and we'll just get an idea of where we're at. I guess the first thing I want to say is I think a lot of people confuse. I made a tweet on this today. I think a lot of people confuse like saltiness and bitterness for just understanding what the moment actually is. I'm not trying to say people shouldn't have a good time or anything, and I'm not I'm not like a true OG or anything, like Kobe or Nomad or any of those guys. I don't know them personally, but like those guys have been around forever, since the beginning, and it might just go to show like. I don't want to talk about the guy because I don't know him, but Nomad seems typically pretty cynical with a lot of the topics that he covers. He's not entertained, so to say, by a lot of the new things that the new breed does, right? And I think that sort of starts to resonate with a lot of your older crypto people, not in age, but people who have been around crypto for a while. I mean, I've been since mid 2017, so certainly not like a real OG, but I've been around the block, and a lot of these people who are going crazy, and I get it, like completely money crazed, money is all they think about, and I was doing the same shit in 2017 with like the Ether Delta shit coins, and I was calling 50Xs and stuff, and going crazy, basically like an addict essentially for crypto and the ability to make money, and there's nothing wrong. I'm glad everyone's having that experience. I just don't think and don't want people to get trapped into the idea that there's some type of a, and it may be that NFTs develop into something in a longer term, but these evaluations that we're seeing right now are not realistic. This liquidity is not going to stick around. There's just no way. It's just another cycle or another trend. Just like there's a ton of dead DeFi coins, and there's some DeFi coins that live. Just like how punks will probably live because they're like the biggest NFT thing. I guarantee that in the future, if anyone talks about NFTs and whatnot, punks will still be a topic of the conversation. But you see these things with euphoria, in where you start getting lots of we can talk about it in coin terms. You start getting a lot of clones. When we were talking Doge, you were getting, now you got SHIB, and then you got all these other, you got E-Doge and Dark Doge and all these different clones that start coming out. And they're all money grabs. And now you're starting to see a lot of these different NFT projects come to the surface, and 99% of them are going to be money grabs. And they're not going to be worth anything come 6 months from now. That's just the reality of it. Crypto moves too fast. So NFTs may be here to stay. I'm not going to say it's not. The whole virtual reality thing, it's a great escape for people. I'm not a extremely social person, but I still don't really necessarily enjoy like the VR metaverse stuff. But nothing against the people who do enjoy it. If you find comfort and solace and friendship in those places, then I'm happy for you. But I think there's two different things going on, and I think you know, the narrative is that people are trying to say, oh, well, you know, gamers, I'm buying this land in this game, I'm investing in this digital land, and, you know, they have this imagination where the city is going to be filled with VR people, and they're claiming it's some type of a game. And here's the thing, like, gamers aren't playing these. Like, wage workers are playing these. The people who can't earn a good living in their country. I don't know what countries, but, you know, just take, you know, any third world country, for example, where they don't earn a decent living wage. Those kids are playing these games. You're not going to see, like think about the past 10 years. What games have strived? You could think Counter-Strike, you could think League of Legends, you could think World of Warcraft, you could think Dota, Halo, Skyrim, you know, in ignoring console games for the most part. But there's not many games that make it over the long term, right? Now, if Valve or Steam was to come out and say, because, you know, Zoomers won't know what Valve is, but if Steam was to come out and say, hey, look, we're doing NFTs of DDoS 2, and you can mark your ownership on, you know, say like the Long A wall. So you can buy a strip of Long A and like you could put your name on it. Now that would be like an insane status symbol, and I could see how that could sell for 1,000 ETH or something. But these maybe punks are slightly different, although they're going to come down eventually. But all these other NFTs and whatnot that are just, you know, blobs on a JPEG and they're selling for 300 ETH or something, it's a joke. That's all it is. It's a joke. It's a trend. It's a fad. It's gonna pass. And hey, at the end of the day, I hope you don't, you know, spend a house on a JPEG and realize, you know, 6 months from now that no one cares about it anymore, and no one's playing the game that you bought land in. The game's already dead because the wage workers, somehow things got normalized in the game, and the wage workers could no longer earn a better wage playing the video game than they could in their country, and they go back to working a normal job. And then all your quote-unquote gamers that are playing the game are no longer playing the game because there was never gamers there in the first place. That's just a facade or a figment of people's imagination for the narrative, because we know where all the real gamers are. The real gamers are playing CS, they're playing Dota, they're playing League, they're playing WoW, you know, maybe Overwatch, whatever you want to say. Those are where the real gamers are. The real gamers aren't coming to buy your virtual land in your metaverse world, okay? Two different types of people. So, gotta stop putting gamers in the mix. And truthfully, if anyone knows gamers, it's me. I played Counter-Strike 16 hours a day for years of my life. World of Warcraft, 16 hours a day, many years of my life. Still play a lot of games to this day. I try the new games, you know, the new MMOs that come out and all that stuff. They're all dog shit, and everyone quits within a couple months. It's the same old story, time and time again. So, if you think that these, you know, big companies that try to make games and the games still fail are going to get lapped by crypto games, it makes me laugh while I'm talking about it. Crypto games that aren't even like really games. It's just absurd. It really is absurd. And once the euphoria fades away, hopefully anyone that, you know, was, you know, sort of brainwashed into this stuff is you know, hopefully they're just not left with, you know, a $300,000 you know, digital Beanie Baby or some shit that's now no liquidity to sell, and no one's ever even heard of the game, because that's what it's going to be. And like I said, there will be potentially one or two, and it does have to start somewhere. I understand that. There could potentially eventually be a game that survives and strives, but your chance of finding that right now is probably 1 in 1,000. Who knows? Who knows which game it's going to be or which NFT it's going to be. The only place I would feel safe whatsoever is punks, but I would not feel safe buying at this evaluation whatsoever. I'd more than happily come back in 2 months from now. If they're not down in 2 months, I'll come back a year from now. I'll come back in 3 years. And if they continue to go up and up and up and up and up and up and up every single month, and there's never some type of a major dip, then hey, so be it. But I said the same exact thing about ETH. If you never watched my previous video, you'll know that I said when we were at like 3,700 or something, I said, you know what, if ETH goes to 10K, then so be it. But I don't think it's gonna. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And anything that goes straight up like this is usually an elevator down, and that's exactly what happened. And I see the same outlook for any type of these trends. It's been the same all along. You had your altcoins, then you had Ether Delta shitcoins, then you had ICOs, then you had, you know, whatever, DeFi, Uniswap, BSC. You had all these different trends that always come and go, and a couple of them survive for the long term. A couple of them, just a small few. But the rest of them turn into absolutely nothing, worthless, dead. Okay? So it's not being salty and bitter, it's just talking about the reality of the situation. And for the people who want to, you know, have a great time around it and pretend it's something more than it is, I guess power to you, but hopefully it just doesn't, you know, convince people to buy shit. So I guess that's about it. Yeah, we covered BTC, covered ETH. We talked about the NFT craze and how I feel about everything. Yeah, that's it. As usual, it's Chase coming to you. Just trying to keep it real, guys. That's all. That's all it's ever been. It's all it ever will be. Yeah, that's it. So hope everybody has a great week, and I will talk to you guys next week. I'll see you later.